Confidence isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the one who doesn't need to prove anything. In 2025, the world doesn't need more perfect girls. It needs powerful girls. So if you're done doubting yourself, done dimming your light just to make others comfortable, this message is for you. Let me say this loud. Confidence is not something you wear. It's something you become. Believe in yourself before anyone else does. Because the truth is, no one will see your worth until you do. You can have the most loving friends, the most encouraging family, and still feel invisible if you don't choose to see yourself first. Confidence doesn't begin when people clap for you. It begins when you clap for yourself in silence, when no one's watching, when no one even believes in what you're doing, but you still do. Think about it. Every person who's ever made history started with one thing: belief. Not talent, not money, not luck, just belief. The kind that whispers, I can do it, even when the world laughs back. Every girl who's ever turned her pain into power first decided to trust herself when no one else did. Because if you wait for people to believe in you before you start, you'll wait forever. Imagine this. You're sitting in a classroom or a meeting, and you have a brilliant idea, but a small voice inside says, what if I sound stupid? You silence yourself, and someone else says exactly what you wanted to say, and everyone applauds. You smile, but deep down your heart whispers, that could have been me. That's what happens when you don't believe in yourself. You hand over opportunities that were meant for you. Belief is not arrogance. It's self-awareness. It's knowing that you're capable, even if you haven't proven it yet. Believing in yourself means walking into a room full of doubt and still saying, I belong here. It means showing up to an audition, an interview, or even a heartbreak with your head high because you know your worth isn't up for negotiation. You see, people will treat you the way you treat yourself. If you walk like you're uncertain, the world will question you. But if you walk like you're enough, the world adjusts. There was a girl who wanted to start a small business, but everyone told her, it's risky. They laughed at her plans, told her she didn't have experience. She didn't argue, she just believed. Every night she worked quietly while others scrolled, doubted, or slept. And one day, the same people who told her you can't were asking, how did you do it? That's what belief does. It makes noise without shouting. Belief doesn't mean you won't have fear. You will. But it means you'll move with our fear instead of waiting for it to disappear. You'll post that video even if it gets no views. You'll apply for that job even if you're not fully qualified. You'll speak up even if your voice shakes. Because believing in yourself isn't about being fearless. It's about trusting that you'll figure it out even if you fail. Think of the moments in your life when no one understood your dreams. When your parents said, be practical. When your friends said, that's impossible. When your inner critic screamed louder than your courage. That's the moment belief matters the most. Because anyone can believe in themselves when life's easy. True confidence is when you still choose to believe after being rejected, ignored, and underestimated. Believing in yourself is like lighting a candle in a dark room. At first it feels small, fragile, like it could be blown out any second. But the longer you hold it, the brighter it gets. And soon that tiny flame becomes something others start to notice. They'll say, you've changed. But no, you didn't change. You just finally believed. Think about all the people who quit because someone told them they weren't enough. A teacher said, you'll never be good at this. A friend said, you're too emotional. A boss said, you're not ready. And they believe those voices instead of their own. Don't be that person. Be the one who says, watch me. Because when you believe in yourself, every no turns into motivation. Every failure becomes feedback. Every fall becomes fuel. Don't need everyone to understand your path. Because your vision was given to you, not to them. People can't see your dream the way you do because it doesn't belong to them. It's like expecting someone to understand your favorite song when they haven't heard the melody. Belief is personal. It's sacred. It's yours. There's a power that comes with self-belief that no makeup, money, or validation can buy. It's the power to say, I don't need approval to be valuable. It's the courage to walk away from anything that makes you question your worth. Because once you believe in yourself, rejection doesn't break you. It redirects you. Imagine walking into 2025 with the mindset that you are your own biggest supporter, that you don't need a crowd to clap before you move, that even when you fall, you'll stand taller than before. That's the kind of belief that changes lives. That's the kind that makes people stop and stare, not because you're perfect, but because you're real, resilient, and radiant. Every time you doubt yourself, remember the moments you thought you couldn't survive, but you did. The heartbreaks you healed from, the days you felt invisible but kept going. You've already proven your strength, you've already earned your place, the only thing left is to believe it. You see, belief is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you are. It's about realizing that you've always been capable, always been worthy, always been enough. The world tries to make you forget, but confidence begins the moment you remember. So when they say you're not ready, smile and say, maybe not, but I will be. When they say you can't, say, just wait. When they laugh, let them. Because one day your belief will be the reason their laughter turns into applause. You are not too young, too late, too inexperienced, or too ordinary. You are exactly where you need to be to begin. Believing in yourself is not about proving the world wrong. It's about proving yourself right. And when that belief becomes unshakable, no opinion, no rejection, no failure can touch your peace. Believe first, act second, and watch how the universe rearranges itself to meet the version of you who finally decided to stop doubting and start doing. Take up space. Don't shrink for comfort. Because the moment you start shrinking to make others feel big, you begin disappearing piece by piece. You weren't born to fit into small rooms built by other people's fears. You were born to expand, to stand tall, to own every inch of your presence. So many girls walk through life apologizing for existing, apologizing for their opinions, their emotions, their dreams, their voices. They say sorry before speaking. They whisper their ideas. They dim their shine just to avoid being labeled too much. But here's the truth. You will never be too much for the right space. The wrong spaces are just too small. Imagine sitting in a meeting where you know your idea could change everything, but you look around and see everyone else speaking loudly, confidently, taking control. So you think, maybe I'll stay quiet today. You shrink. And when the meeting ends, you realize your silence cost you more than your fear ever could. Because every time you silence yourself for comfort, you teach the world how to overlook you. Taking up space is not about arrogance, it's about alignment. It's about understanding that you have every right to be seen, heard, and valued. Taking up space means walking into a room and not folding your shoulders in. It means speaking your truth without asking for permission. It means knowing your opinion matters even when your voice shakes. There's nothing more powerful than a woman who takes up emotional, mental, and physical space without apology. You can tell when someone does. It's in her posture, her tone, her eyes. She doesn't need to dominate the room. She simply exists with certainty. That energy shifts everything. Think of it like this. When you walk into a room, your energy speaks before your words do. People can sense whether you believe you belong there or not. Taking up space is telling the world, I am not asking to belong. I adore belong. Look at the girls who stand confidently even when they don't fit the stereotype, who wear bold colors when everyone else wears neutral, who speak passionately when others stay safe, who take leadership roles even when people whisper behind their backs. These women are not fearless. They've just learned that shrinking never protected them. It only silenced them. Maybe you've been in a friendship or relationship where you constantly make yourself smaller. You hide your achievements so they don't feel insecure. You tone down your beauty, your humor, your brilliance just to make them comfortable. You become a background character in your own story. But let me tell you something powerful. People who truly love you will never be intimidated by your shine. They'll clap louder. If someone can only handle the smaller version of you, they don't deserve access to the full version. Taking up space is also about boundaries. When you say no, you're not being rude, you're protecting your peace. When you walk away from toxic people, you're not being cold, you're valuing yourself. Confidence doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's in the quiet act of refusing to be made small. When you take up space, you stop explaining yourself for things that don't need explanation. You stop saying, I'm sorry, but, and start saying, here's what I think. You stop apologizing for existing. Think about how often women are told to make themselves smaller. Don't laugh too loud. Don't be so opinionated. Don't take up attention. From classrooms to offices, from homes to relationships, the message is repeated until it becomes a habit. But what if you did the opposite? What if you walked in, laughed loud, spoke up, wore what you loved, and owned your presence without hesitation? You'd notice how people start to listen differently, how your energy begins to command respect instead of asking for it. In everyday life, taking up space can be as simple as sitting at the front instead of hiding at the back. It can be raising your hand when you have something to say instead of waiting for someone else to say it first. It can be walking confidently through a crowd, holding your head high, not adjusting your worth based on who's watching. Taking up space is saying, I have a right to be here, whether that's in a boardroom, a classroom, a relationship, or your own dreams. There was once a girl who was terrified of speaking in public. Every time she stood up, her voice trembled. She'd see the eyes staring and would instantly wish she could vanish. But one day she decided she'd rather stumble through her words than stay silent forever. So she spoke. She stumbled, she forgot lines, but she didn't stop, and by the end she realized something beautiful. No one remembered her mistakes, they remembered her courage. Taking up space isn't about being perfect, it's about showing up even when you're scared to. Another girl I once knew worked in a company where her ideas were constantly dismissed. Every time she spoke, someone else repeated her point louder and got credit for it. One day she decided to do something bold. She printed her idea, presented it herself, and claimed ownership of it. The result? Not only was she heard, but she was also promoted. Because the moment you start owning your voice, people have no choice but to listen. Taking up space also means emotionally taking up space. It means saying how you feel instead of pretending you're fine. It means telling someone, that hurt me, instead of brushing it off. Because when you bottle everything up, you make your emotions small, invisible, unimportant. But when you express them, you validate your own heart. You show yourself that your feelings deserve room too. In 2025, girls are redefining what confidence looks like. It's not just bold lips and power suits. It's emotional presence, it's spiritual strength, it's walking into your destiny without shrinking for anyone. It's realizing that being soft doesn't mean being weak, and being strong doesn't mean being loud. Taking up space means existing fully as you are. Complex, layered, powerful. You were never meant to be background noise. You are the main melody. Don't fold yourself to fit into someone else's version of comfortable. If you make people uncomfortable by simply existing boldly, that's their reflection, not yours. Taking up space is not about pushing others aside. It's about realizing you've always had a place. You just needed to stop asking permission to stand in it. Learn to love no. Because no is not rejection, it's redirection. It's not the end of your path, it's a sign pointing you towards something better. Every confident girl must understand this. Life will not always say yes, and that's exactly how it teaches you to grow stronger, sharper, and unstoppable. No is one of the most powerful words you will ever hear, and one of the most empowering words you will ever say. The sooner you stop fearing it, the sooner you'll realize how much freedom it gives you. We are taught from a young age to please, to agree, to stay polite even when we're uncomfortable. We learn to smile and say okay when we really want to say no. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve you, you are silently saying no to yourself. And you can't build confidence while constantly betraying your own boundaries. Saying no is not cruel, it's self-respect in action. Imagine this. Your friend asks you for a favor. You're exhausted, you've had a long week, and all you need is one evening of rest. But you don't want them to think you're selfish, so you say yes. You help them, but inside you're drained, frustrated, resentful. The next day you feel invisible, like your needs don't matter. And why? Because you didn't honor your no. Loving no means understanding that protecting your peace is more important than pleasing people who wouldn't do the same for you. Think of all the times life has told you no. The job you didn't get, the person who walked away, the opportunity that slipped through your hands. You cried, you blamed yourself, you thought it was unfair. But months later, didn't you realize why it happened? Didn't you see how that rejection led you somewhere better? The job that once rejected you taught you the skills for the one that changed your life. The person who left made space for someone who truly valued you. Every no you faced has quietly been building your foundation. The universe doesn't deny you, it redirects you. There's power in saying no to people who drain your energy. Power in saying no to overthinking, to guilt, to situations that don't align with your growth. When you start saying no to nonsense, you make room for miracles. You become magnetic. Your energy starts speaking before your words do, and people begin to sense your boundaries. You're no longer available for chaos because you've decided your peace is priceless. I remember meeting a girl who always said yes to everyone. Yes to extra shifts, yes to last-minute favors, yes to every social plan. She thought saying yes made her kind, but all it did was make her exhausted. One day she hit her limit and said, "No, I can't." She expected people to be angry, but instead something beautiful happened. She realized the world didn't end. People adjusted. They respected her more. Her no didn't destroy her relationships. It redefined them. That's what happens when you love your no. You attract people who understand your boundaries instead of those who abuse them. Learning to love no also means embracing the word when it comes from others. We live in a world that tells us rejection equals failure, but it doesn't. It's feedback. Every no you hear is pushing you closer to the right yes. Imagine an actor auditioning for dozens of roles, being rejected again and again. Most would give up thinking they weren't good enough. But the ones who succeed understand that every no is just part of the process. They don't take it personally. They take it as preparation. Because sometimes you're not being denied, you're being developed. Think about how many doors you knocked on that never opened. You might have cried at those locked doors, not realizing that if they opened, they would have led you somewhere that didn't match your purpose. Sometimes no is the universe saying, "You're worth more than this. Wait." When you start to see no as protection instead of punishment, everything changes. You stop chasing things that aren't meant for you. You stop begging for attention that doesn't value you. You start walking with faith that what's meant for you will never need convincing. There's another side to this lesson. The power of saying no to your own fears. Every time your mind says, "No, you can't do this," that's your ego trying to keep you small. That's the voice of past disappointments, not your potential. You must learn to say no to self-doubt. Say no to procrastination. Say no to anything that tells you you're not ready. Because the truth is, confidence doesn't come from waiting for perfect conditions. It comes from moving even when you hear 1,000 no's inside your head. In everyday life, no is everywhere. The client who says no to your proposal, the crush who says no to your feelings, the teacher who says no to your idea, the parent who says no to your dream. But look closely, each of these moments carries a lesson. The client's no teaches you to communicate better. The crush's no teaches you self-worth. The teacher's no challenges you to refine your thinking. The parent's no pushes you to fight harder for your vision. Every no has a hidden message. Grow here. Loving no means taking your power back. It means no longer begging for acceptance. It means understanding that someone's inability to see your value doesn't make you less valuable. A diamond doesn't lose its shine just because someone's too blind to recognize it. You are the same. You don't need everyone to agree with your worth. You only need to stop negotiating it. When you truly start loving no, you begin to move differently. You no longer chase what's not yours. You no longer break your back proving your worth. You no longer apologize for choosing yourself. You begin to breathe lighter, speak louder, and walk taller, because you finally understand that every no that once broke you was actually building you. Every no was leading you closer to the life you were always meant to live. There's something magnetic about a girl who knows her boundaries. She doesn't explain them. She embodies them. When someone crosses a line, she doesn't explode. She simply says no and walks away. Not out of anger, but out of alignment. Because she knows peace is expensive, and not everyone can afford it. You become unstoppable when you realize that no is not rejection. It's selection. It's you choosing peace over chaos, truth over approval, self-respect over convenience. When you start loving no, you stop fearing loss. Because you understand that what leaves you was never meant to stay, and what's meant for you will never require you to shrink, beg, or chase. Be unapologetically ambitious. Because somewhere along the way, the world made women believe that ambition is arrogance, that wanting more makes you selfish, that dreaming too big makes you difficult. But the truth is, your ambition is not something to hide. It's your fire, your purpose, your power. It's what separates those who wish from those who will. You don't need to apologize for wanting an extraordinary life. You don't need to shrink your dreams to fit into someone else's comfort zone. You have every right to take up space, dream loudly, and chase fiercely. Every girl has been told at some point, don't be too much, too loud, too smart, too independent, too career-driven. But think about it. What has playing small ever given anyone? Mediocrity doesn't build legacies. Playing safe doesn't make history. The ones who change the game are the ones who dare to want more when others settle for less. When they said, you're aiming too high, that was never a warning. It was a challenge. Ambition isn't greed, it's gratitude. It's saying, I've been given this life, and I'm going to make the most of it. Being ambitious means refusing to waste your potential just to look humble. It's understanding that success doesn't make you selfish. It makes you an example. The girl who dares to dream doesn't just inspire herself. She becomes the light for others still trapped in doubt. Imagine a young woman who works at her first job, constantly overlooked because she's too new. She stays quiet, does her work, and watches others get the recognition she deserves. One day, something clicks. She decides to stop waiting for permission and starts creating her own opportunities. She studies harder, learns more, volunteers for the toughest projects, and delivers results no one can ignore. Months later, she's not asking for a seat at the table. She's leading it. That's what happens when you stop apologizing for wanting more. Ambition is not about competing with others. It's about competing with your yesterday. It's waking up and asking yourself, what can I do today that my future self will thank me for? It's about growth, purpose, and vision. And yes, ambition can be lonely sometimes, because when you rise, not everyone will clap. Some people will misunderstand you, call you obsessed or too driven. But remember this, people only criticize what they secretly wish they had the courage to do. Think about the woman who wants to build her own business. Everyone around her says, it's too risky, what if you fail? But she listens to her inner voice that whispers, what if I fly? She stays up late, works on weekends, sacrifices comfort for progress. She faces doubt, fear, and exhaustion. But one day her dream turns into something real. A brand, a movement, a message, and suddenly the same people who called her crazy start calling her inspiring. That's the magic of ambition. It turns impossible into I'm possible. In everyday life, being ambitious might look like choosing study over sleep, discipline over distraction, growth over gossip. It's not glamorous, it's grind. It's saying no to nights out so you can invest in your goals. It's being misunderstood by those who don't share your hunger. But those sacrifices are the roots of greatness. Every powerful woman you've ever admired once walked alone, building herself in silence while the world doubted her. There's a girl sitting in a classroom right now who's afraid to raise her hand because she doesn't want to seem too eager. There's a woman sitting in a meeting scared to share her idea because she doesn't want to seem too ambitious. But here's the truth. There's no such thing as too ambitious. There's only people who are too afraid to match your energy. Stop lowering your volume just because others can't handle your sound. If your dreams make them uncomfortable, that's not your problem. You weren't born to blend in, you were born to break patterns. Ambition also means owning your worth. It means asking for the raise, applying for the position, chasing the dream, even when you're not 100% ready. Because no one ever feels fully ready. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't luck, it's audacity. The audacity to say, I may not know it all, but I'll figure it out. That sentence has built empires. Being unapologetically ambitious also means redefining success for yourself. It's not always about money or fame. Sometimes ambition is about peace, about building a life you love, about becoming a woman who doesn't need validation to feel valuable. It's about wanting better relationships, better habits, better energy. Ambition isn't only professional, it's personal, it's spiritual, it's emotional. It's about refusing to live a half-lived life. And let's be honest, ambition scares people because an ambitious woman is unpredictable. She can't be controlled and she won't be contained. When a woman decides she's done apologizing for her dreams, she becomes unstoppable. She no longer chases approval, she chases purpose. She no longer waits to be chosen, she chooses herself. She no longer fears failure, she sees it as a step. That's the kind of energy that builds legends. Every time someone says, calm down, you're dreaming too big, remember that small minds can't comprehend big visions. You're not obligated to make sense to people who stopped dreaming long ago. Your ambition might intimidate them, but that's okay. It's not your job to make them comfortable, it's your job to make yourself proud. Think of ambition as your inner flame. It may flicker when life gets hard, but never let it die out. Feed it with discipline. Surround it with people who fan it, not those who try to blow it out. Because when you are unapologetically ambitious, you don't just rise. You lift others with you. You become proof that it's possible. That's how you inspire a generation without even realizing it. The world needs more girls who dream without guilt. More women who say, yes, I want it all and mean it. Because ambition is not a crime, it's courage in motion. It's the refusal to settle. It's the declaration that your dreams are valid, your desires are worthy, and your voice matters. So stop explaining why you want more. Stop softening your hunger to make others feel safe. Ambition is not something to hide. It's something to wear proudly, like armor. Because when a woman owns her ambition, she doesn't just chase her destiny. She defines it. In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, silence has become the rarest luxury and the most powerful weapon. Silence is not weakness, it's control. It's choosing not to react when everyone expects you to explode. It's knowing that not every battle deserves your energy. Not every word deserves a reply, and not every person deserves an explanation. The loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest, the calm one is. Because silence speaks louder than chaos ever will. When you stay silent, you confuse people who thrive on your reaction. They expect you to argue, to defend, to explain, but when you don't, they lose control. That's power. Silence teaches people what words cannot, it draws boundaries without screaming, and it protects your peace without confrontation. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable people get when you stop engaging in their drama? That's because silence forces them to face themselves, and most people aren't ready for that mirror. Imagine this. Someone tries to insult you publicly, throwing words like daggers, expecting you to fight back. Instead, you smile and say nothing. You walk away with your dignity intact. Do you know what happens next? They start replaying the moment in their head over and over. They crave your reaction because your silence echoes in their mind louder than any comeback ever could. Silence is your invisible armor. It protects you from energy thieves who feed on your chaos. There's a reason storms end in silence. Because silence restores balance. In relationships, silence speaks truths that words often hide. When someone disrespects you, your silence after their disrespect is not weakness, it's clarity. It's saying, I saw that, I felt that, and I choose not to entertain it. That kind of self-control drives people insane because they can't manipulate what they can't provoke. The power of silence is emotional maturity on full display. It's mastering the art of responding later or not at all. Look at any powerful woman you admire. Do you see her arguing with every rumor, every critic, every hater? No. She moves with silence and results. Because results make more noise than words ever could. You don't need to prove your worth through debate. You prove it through evolution. Your silence during your struggle will make your success the loudest sound they've ever heard. There's beauty in letting your work, your peace, and your progress speak for you. Even in daily life, think about arguments with friends, partners, or co-workers. You reach a point where words do nothing but fuel fire. That's when silence becomes strategy. Silence says, I've said enough. Now my actions will do the talking. It's not about pride, it's about preservation. You start realizing that peace is not found in winning arguments, it's found in walking away from them. The moment you choose silence over chaos, you stop being controlled by others. You start being in control of yourself. Silence also teaches you patience. When you stop rushing to react, you start observing. You begin to see people's true intentions. You learn who listens, who manipulates, who respects your space, and who doesn't deserve your voice. Silence sharpens your intuition. It turns you into a quiet observer in a noisy world. And in that stillness, you start hearing your own voice more clearly. That's when confidence grows, not from the noise outside, but from the calm inside. Sometimes silence is the only answer that protects your soul. You owe no one an explanation for choosing peace. You don't have to explain why you walked away, why you stopped talking, why you stopped fighting for people who stopped fighting for you. Silence is saying, I'm done explaining my worth to people who never saw it. When you master silence, you no longer beg to be understood. You choose to be at peace instead. When people push you to react, remember, reacting gives them control, but responding gives you power. And sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Silence is not passive. It's intentional. It's you saying, I'm saving my words for something that deserves my energy. You're not cold, you're wise, you're not distant, you're protecting your peace. Silence doesn't make you smaller, it makes you untouchable. There's something magnetic about a woman who knows when to stay silent. Her calmness makes people curious. Her mystery keeps them guessing. Her composure demands respect. When you stop explaining yourself to everyone, you start becoming unforgettable. Your silence starts carrying authority because it's backed by strength, not fear. You realize that the quieter you become, the more you can hear what truly matters. Silence is where you heal. It's where you find your power, your clarity, your direction. The world tells you to be loud, to prove, to argue. But sometimes the most rebellious thing you can do is stay silent and let your energy speak. Because silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means everything is happening inside you. You're growing, you're observing, and you're preparing for your next move. So next time someone underestimates you, don't shout, don't chase, don't beg, just stay silent, work harder, and let your silence announce your evolution. Because when silence becomes your superpower, nobody can touch your peace. And now, as you walk into the world beyond this moment, remember this. Confidence is not something you wear. It's something you become. It's the quiet fire that burns inside you when no one believes. The unshakable voice that whispers, "Hey, I can do this. Hey, even when the world screams otherwise." Confidence is not about being perfect. It's about showing up, even when you're trembling. It's not arrogance, it's self-trust. Because when you trust yourself, the world starts trusting you too. You see, life will try to dim your light. People will test your limits, doubt your worth, and misunderstand your silence. But a confident girl in 2025 doesn't shrink. She shines harder. She doesn't apologize for her ambition, her standards, or her power. She walks into a room not to be liked, but to be remembered. And remember this, confidence doesn't mean you never fall. It means you rise every single time you do. You wipe your tears, fix your crown, and whisper, try me again. The truth is, you don't need the world's permission to be powerful. You were born powerful. You don't need validation to feel worthy. You don't need applause to feel seen. You are enough, not when they say so, but when you decide so. Don't wait for opportunities to find you. Create them. Don't wait for someone to choose you. Choose yourself. Because the world belongs to those who dare to believe they can. Let them call you too much. Let them say you're loud, intense, ambitious, emotional. Good. You're not meant to fit into small minds or tight boxes. You're meant to break them. You're meant to expand. You're meant to rewrite the story of what it means to be a woman who's bold, calm, beautiful, and unstoppable all at once. The same fire that scares people will light your path. Don't dim it. Don't hide it. Let it burn bright enough to show other women that they can rise too. Every confident girl knows one thing. Silence is not emptiness, it's energy. Rejection is not failure, it's redirection. And loneliness is not punishment, it's preparation. Every no you hear is simply the universe saying, hey, wait, something better is coming. Hey, every heartbreak, every loss, every closed door, it's all building you. Because diamonds aren't made in comfort, they're made under pressure. So when life feels heavy, remind yourself, hey, I was built for this. I never forget. People may imitate your style, your success, even your smile, but they can never imitate your spirit. Because confidence isn't a look, it's a legacy. It's the way you carry yourself through chaos, how you speak your truth even when your voice shakes, how you stay kind in a cruel world. That's real beauty. That's real power. So to every girl listening, stop waiting to feel ready. Stop asking if you're enough. You already are. The moment you decide to believe in yourself completely, everything changes. Doors open, energy shifts, the universe aligns. Because confidence is magnetic. It pulls miracles toward you. Walk with that energy. Speak with that certainty. Move like you already have what you're working for. Because when you act confident, life has no choice but to meet you there. And when you reach that place of peace, where you no longer chase, beg, or explain, smile. Because that's what true confidence looks like. It's quiet. It's calm. It's grounded. You don't need to prove anything anymore. You simply air. Remember these words every time you doubt yourself. A, she believed she could, so she did. A, confidence is not they will like me, it's I'll be fine if they don't. A, don't wait for the light at the end of the tunnel, be the light. E, your silence is strength, your ambition is art, your voice is power. E, this is your era. 2025 is not waiting for permission. It's waiting for you. So go out there, take up space, speak your truth, walk like you own the ground beneath your feet, and never apologize for being exactly who you are. Because a confident girl doesn't follow trends. She sets them. She doesn't chase approval. She commands respect. And when she walks away, the world remembers her not for how loud she was, but for how powerful her presence felt in silence.